I never thought I'd become the obsession of Korea's most powerful heir. One moment I was presenting a business proposal. The next, Min-joon Kim was staring at me like I held the answer to every question he'd ever asked. "You're different," he whispered that first day, and I should have run. I should have taken my degree and gone back to Nairobi. But when a man worth billions looks at you like you're priceless, when he shows up at your tiny apartment with roses at midnight, when he learns Swahili just to hear you laugh, when his family threatens to disown him and he doesn't even blink, that's when you realize you're not just in his world anymore. You're his entire world. And me? Sharon Wambui, a girl from Nakuru who came to Seoul with nothing but dreams? I'm about to tell you how I became the one thing Korea's richest family could never control. If you're ready for a story about forbidden love, culture clash, and a man who'd burn down his empire just to keep me, hit that like button and subscribe because this journey is going to be wild. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. My name is Sharon Wambui, and 6 months ago, I was invisible. Not literally, of course, but in Seoul, as a black African woman navigating the pristine halls of Hanseon University's MBA program. I might as well have been a ghost. People stared, whispered, took photos when they thought I wasn't looking. I learned to keep my head down, my grades up, and my dreams bigger than their small-mindedness. I came to South Korea with one goal: get my master's degree in international business, return to Kenya, and build something that would make my mother proud. She'd cleaned houses in Nakuru for 20 years to send me to university. She'd never even been on a plane, but she believed in me enough to sell her small plot of land so I could chase this dream. "Sharon," she told me the day I left, gripping my hands at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, tears streaming down her weathered face. "You go there and show them what we're made of. Show them that a girl from Nakuru can stand with anyone." I promised her I would. I promised myself I would. I never promised I'd fall in love with Min-joon Kim. The first time I saw him was at Kim and Associates, one of the largest conglomerates in South Korea. My professor had arranged for me to do a 3-month consulting internship there, analyzing their expansion into African markets. It was the opportunity of a lifetime, the kind of thing that could launch my career before I even graduated. I walked into that glass tower on a Monday morning in March, my portfolio clutched against my chest, wearing my best blazer, the navy one I'd found at a second-hand shop in Itaewon. The lobby alone was intimidating. Marble floors, a chandelier that probably cost more than my entire education, security guards in suits sharper than surgical instruments. "Sharon Wambui?" The receptionist looked up, her perfect makeup not quite hiding her surprise. "You're the consultant?" I was used to this. "Yes, I have a 9 o'clock with Director Park." She made a phone call, spoke rapidly in Korean, then handed me a visitor's badge. 32nd floor. Someone will meet you." The elevator ride felt like ascending into another universe. When the doors opened, a young woman in a pencil skirt was waiting. "Ms. Wambui, I'm G1, Director Park's assistant. Please follow me." She led me through an open office space where every head turned. I kept my spine straight, my face neutral. My mother's voice echoed in my head. "Walk like you own the room, even when you don't." Director Park was a severe woman in her 50s with silver-streaked hair, pulled into a tight bun. She looked me up and down once, nodded curtly, then got straight to business. "Your analysis of our West African market entry strategy was impressive," she said in English with barely an accent. "That's why you're here. We're expanding into East Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Ethiopia. We need someone who understands both the business landscape and the cultural nuances. Can you do that?" "Yes, ma'am." "Good. You'll report directly to me, but you'll also present to our executive team monthly. They're particular." She paused. "The vice chairman sometimes sits in on these presentations. He's the founder's grandson. Don't let him intimidate you." I should have asked more questions. I should have asked what she meant by intimidate. Instead, I just nodded and got to work. For 3 weeks, I buried myself in research. I analyzed market data, conducted interviews with Korean businesses already operating in East Africa, created financial models, developed cultural competency frameworks. I barely slept. I lived on instant coffee and the kimchi fried rice from the Pojamika near my Gazawan, the tiny shoebox room I called home. I didn't see Min-joon Kim until my first executive presentation. I walked into the conference room on the 40th floor, carrying my laptop, and a confidence I didn't entirely feel. Director Park introduced me to the 12 people seated around the massive table. I recognized some from my research: the CFO, the head of international operations, various directors, and senior managers. And then there was him. He sat at the head of the table, and I swear the air changed when I looked at him. Min-joon Kim was 29 years old, though he carried himself with the authority of someone much older. Sharp jaw, dark eyes that seemed to calculate everything, black hair, styled perfectly. His suit probably cost more than my entire year's tuition. But it wasn't his looks that made my breath catch. It was the way he looked at me. Not like everyone else in Seoul looked at me, with curiosity or confusion or thinly veiled prejudice. He looked at me like he was trying to solve an equation he'd never encountered before, like I was a question he desperately wanted to answer. "Ms. Wambui," he said, his English perfect but accented. "Please begin." I clicked to my first slide and started talking. I talked about GDP growth rates in East Africa, about the rising middle class, about infrastructure development and mobile money penetration. I talked about the mistakes other Korean companies had made entering these markets, assuming strategies that worked in Southeast Asia would translate, ignoring local partnership requirements, failing to adapt products to local needs. I talked for 45 minutes. The room was silent except for my voice. When I finished, Min-joon leaned forward. "You mentioned that our current approach to market entry is fundamentally flawed. Explain." My mouth went dry. Director Park looked like she wanted to crawl under the table. "But I didn't come to Seoul to be timid. Your company is approaching East Africa like it's a problem to be solved with enough capital," I said. "You're looking at numbers and seeing opportunity. But you're not seeing people. You're not seeing culture. In Kenya, trust isn't built in boardrooms. It's built over chai in someone's home. In Ethiopia, business relationships are long-term commitments, not transactions. You can't just fly in, sign contracts, and expect success. You need to be present. You need to be partners, not colonizers." The word hung in the air. Colonizers. Someone gasped. Director Park looked like she might faint. Min-joon's expression didn't change. He just stared at me for what felt like an eternity. Then he smiled. It was small, barely there, but it transformed his entire face. "You're right," he said. "Continue." I spent another 30 minutes outlining a partnership-based approach, identifying local companies for joint ventures, suggesting cultural exchange programs for Korean employees. By the time I finished, my hands were shaking, but I'd said everything I needed to say. "Thank you, Ms. Wambui," Min-joon said. "Director Park, ensure she has everything she needs. I want to see her again in 2 weeks with a detailed implementation plan." He stood, and everyone else scrambled to their feet. He walked past me, and for just a second, his hand brushed my shoulder. "Brave," he murmured, so quietly only I could hear. "I like that." Then he was gone. Director Park rushed over, her face pale. "Do you have any idea how lucky you are? The vice chairman never compliments anyone. Never. And you called his strategy colonial." "I call the approach colonial," I corrected. "Not him, Sharon." She gripped my arm. "He's the third most powerful person in this company. His grandfather founded Kim and Associates. His father runs it now. Min-joon will inherit everything. People don't challenge him. Then maybe someone should." She laughed, but sounded nervous. "Just be careful. The Kim family doesn't like complications. And you, my dear, are very complicated." I should have listened to that warning. Instead, I went back to my tiny desk in the corner of the research department and got back to work. 2 days later, roses appeared on my desk. 24 red roses in a crystal vase with a card that read, "For the bravest woman in this building, MJK." Jawan, who become friendly despite the office hierarchy, leaned over. "Do you know who MJK is?" I did. "Min-joon Kim. Should I be worried?" I asked. She bit her lip. "Sharon, men like Min-joon don't send flowers to consultants. They don't notice people like—" She trailed off, embarrassed. "People like me?" I finished. "Black. African. Temporary. I didn't mean it like that." "I know. But that's what everyone's thinking, right?" She didn't answer, which was answer enough. I threw the roses in the trash. The next day, there were more roses, and a box of expensive chocolates, and a card. You could throw these away too, but I'll keep trying. MJK. This continued for a week. Flowers, gifts, notes, each one more personal than the last. I read your thesis on sustainable development in sub-Saharan Africa. Brilliant. Your favorite color is purple. I noticed your scarf. You take your coffee with too much sugar and no cream. Unhealthy but charming. It should have been creepy. Maybe it was creepy, but there was something almost innocent about it, like a boy with a crush who didn't know how else to get my attention. Finally, on Friday evening as I was packing up to leave, he appeared at my desk. Ms. Wambui. I looked up. Min-joon Kim stood there in his perfectly tailored suit, hands in his pockets, looking almost nervous. Mr. Kim, you keep throwing away my gifts. Ido. Why? I stood up, gathering my bag. Because I'm here to work, not to be someone's exotic fascination. His jaw tightened. Is that what you think this is? Isn't it? The rich Korean heir, intrigued by the African girl who dared to challenge him? It's a great story, but I'm not interested in being your story. I moved to walk past him, but he stepped into my path. Have dinner with me. No. Why not? Because you're my client. Because this is inappropriate. Because you're afraid, he said softly. That stopped me. Excuse me. You're afraid that if you say yes, everything you've built here, your credibility, your professional reputation, will be reduced to the intern who dated the vice chairman. You're afraid people will say you slept your way to success. You're afraid that I'm just curious about something different. My heart was pounding. And are you? Just curious? He stepped closer. We were inches apart now. I could smell his cologne, something expensive and understated. Sharon, he said, and it was the first time he'd used my first name. I have traveled the world. I have met thousands of people. I have never, not once, met someone who looked at me the way you did in that conference room. Not with fear or admiration or calculation. You looked at me like I was just a man who needed to hear the truth. Do you have any idea how rare that is? So, I'm special because I'm honest? That's a low bar, Mr. Kim. Min-joon, he corrected. And yes, you're special because you're honest. You're special because you're brilliant. You're special because when everyone else in this building sees a title and a last name, you see a person who can do better. I don't want to date you because you're different. I want to date you because you're you. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him. One dinner, he said. If you hate it, I'll never bother you again. I'll treat you like any other consultant. Professional and distant. And if I don't hate it, he smiled. Then we'll figure it out together. I should have said no. I should have walked away. Instead, I heard myself say, one dinner. But I choose the place. His smile widened. Deal. That's how it started. One dinner at a small Ethiopian restaurant in Itaewon, where Min-joon struggled with injera and laughed at himself, where we talked for 4 hours about everything except business. He told me about the pressure of being a Kim, about his grandfather's expectations, about how he'd studied at Oxford, not because he wanted to, but because it was what was expected. I told him about growing up in Nakuru, about my mother's sacrifices, about the first time I saw Seoul and felt so small and so determined at the same time. You're not small, he said as we left the restaurant. You're a force of nature disguised as a graduate student. One dinner turned into 2. Then coffee. Then walks along the Han River. Then stolen moments between meetings where he'd find excuses to stop by my desk. Director Park warned me. Sharon, this can't end well. The Kim family will never accept this. Ji-won worried. He's never been like this with anyone. What if you break his heart? What if he breaks yours? My mother called from Kenya, her voice crackling over the bad connection. Sharon, my daughter, are you eating well? Are you sleeping? You sound different. I was different. I was falling in love, and it terrified me. Min-joon didn't do anything halfway. When he learned I missed Kenyan food, he hired a Kenyan chef to teach his personal cook how to make ugali and sukuma wiki. When I mentioned missing the sun, he had UV lamps installed in my office. When I said I felt isolated, he started taking Swahili lessons. Habari yako, he said one morning, grinning like he'd won the lottery. Your pronunciation is terrible, I laughed. Then teach me. Teach me everything about you. And I did. I taught him about my culture, my language, my dreams. And he taught me about his world, the impossible weight of expectations, the loneliness of privilege, the way he'd spent his whole life being what everyone else needed him to be. With you, he said one night as we sat on his penthouse balcony overlooking Seoul, I get to just be Min-joon, not the vice chairman, not the heir, just me. And who is that? I asked. He took my hand. I'm still figuring it out, but I know I want to figure it out with you. 3 months into whatever we were doing, he took me to meet his grandfather. Kim Tae-won was 83 years old and had built his empire from nothing. He'd survived war, poverty, and every economic crisis Korea had faced. He sat in his traditional Hanok house in Bukshin, surrounded by priceless art and the weight of legacy. Min-joon held my hand as we entered. Heir, this is Sharon Wambui. Sharon, this is my grandfather. The old man studied me with eyes that had seen everything. He didn't offer me tea. He didn't smile. You are the African girl my grandson is making a fool of himself over, he said in Korean. Min-joon translated. I am the consultant who is helping your company expand into African markets. I replied in English, keeping my voice steady. And I care deeply for your grandson. Kim Tae-won laughed. It wasn't a kind sound. You cannot marry him. He hasn't asked me to, but he will. I know my grandson. He's obsessed. And when this obsession fades, what then? You will have ruined your life, and he will have shamed this family. Heir, Min-joon started, but the old man held up a hand. How much? He asked me directly. How much to go away? Name your price. The room went silent. Min-joon's hand tightened on mine. Heir, you will not. 500 million won, his grandfather said. $1 million US. More than you could make in a lifetime in Kenya. I stood up. Min-joon stood with me. Sir, I said, my voice shaking, but my head held high. I came to Korea to build my future, not to sell it. I don't want your money. I don't want anything from your family except the respect to let your grandson make his own choices. He's 29 years old. He runs a billion-dollar division of your company. He's brilliant and kind and deserves to be happy. If you can't see that, then I pity you. I walked out. Min-joon followed. In the car, he was silent. Then he started laughing. What? I asked. No one has ever told my grandfather they pity him. Sharon, you magnificent, terrifying woman. I think I'm in love with you. My heart stopped. What? He pulled the car over, right there on the side of the road. He turned to face me, his expression more serious than I'd ever seen it. I'm in love with you. I have been for months. I know this is complicated. I know my family will fight this. I know the world will have opinions. But I don't care. I want you. Only you. Always you. Min-joon. You don't have to say it back. Not yet. But I needed you to know. Because everything I do from this moment forward is for us. Every battle I fight with my family, every change I make in my life, it's all so that I could be worthy of you. Tears streamed down my face. You don't have to be worthy of me. You already are. Then say it. Please. I love you. I whispered. God help me. I love you too. He kissed me then, right there and stopped traffic, while horns honked around us and Seoul glittered in the distance. That was 4 months ago. Since then, it's been war. His family tried everything. His father called me to his office and threatened to have my visa revoked. His mother sent private investigators to Kenya to dig up dirt on my family. They offered me money, jobs in other countries, threats disguised as concern. Min-joon fought them at every turn. He threatened to resign. He threatened to go public. He threatened to walk away from everything. You would do that? I asked him one night after a particularly brutal family dinner where his mother had pretended I didn't exist. Give up your inheritance for me? Sharon, you are my inheritance. Everything else is just money and buildings and expectations. You are my life. But it was taking a toll. I could see it in the shadows under his eyes, in the way his shoulders tensed every time his phone rang, in the way he held me tighter each night like he was afraid I'd disappear. Maybe they're right, I said quietly. Maybe we're being selfish. No, he cupped my face. They're wrong. They're wrong about you, about us, about everything. Love isn't selfish. Love is the bravest thing we can do. Last week, everything changed. Min-joon's grandfather had a heart attack. Not severe, but enough to remind everyone that time was running out, that succession was no longer theoretical but imminent. The family called an emergency meeting. Min-joon insisted I come with him. We sat in that same traditional house where his grandfather had offered me money to leave. This time, the entire Kim family was there. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all of them dressed in somber colors. All of them staring at me like I was the problem that needed solving. His father stood. Min-joon, this has gone on long enough. We have been patient. We have tried to understand. But your grandfather nearly died, and when he recovers, he will need to know that this family's future is secure. That means you need to let this relationship go and marry someone appropriate. Someone Korean, you mean, Min-joon said coldly. Someone who understands our world, his mother said. Someone who can help you lead this company, not distract you from it. Sharon has helped me more than anyone in this room, Min-joon said. Her strategies have earned this company millions. Her insights have opened markets you couldn't even imagine. And beyond that, she makes me a better person. She's a phase, an uncle said. You'll grow tired of her. Min-joon stood up so fast his chair fell over. If anyone speaks about Sharon like that again, I will leave this room and this family and never come back. Min-joon, his father started. No, you listen to me now. For 29 years, I have done everything you asked. I went to the schools you chose. I studied what you demanded. I took the job you prepared for me. I have sacrificed my entire life to be the grandson, the son, the heir you wanted. But Sharon? Sharon is mine. She is the one choice I'm making for myself, and you cannot take that from me. The room erupted. People were shouting in Korean, voices overlapping. His mother was crying. His father looked like he aged 10 years in 10 seconds. And then a weak voice cut through the chaos. Enough. Everyone turned. Kim Tae-won stood in the doorway, supported by nurses. He should have been in bed. The doctor had ordered rest. But he was here, his face pale, but his eyes sharp. Harabiaji, Min-joon said, rushing to him. You should be resting. I'll rest when I'm dead, the old man said. Which, apparently, is not today. He looked around the room. All of you be quiet. Silence fell instantly. He walked slowly to his chair and sat down heavily. Then he looked at me. You, African girl, come here. I approached, my heart hammering. You refuse my money, he said. Yes, sir. Why? Because Min-joon isn't for sale. And neither am I. You love my grandson more than anything. Enough to marry him knowing that half this family will never accept you. Enough to raise children who will be caught between two worlds. Enough to endure whispers and judgment and the weight of being different for the rest of your life. I thought about my mother, about the way she'd work her hands to the bone so I could dream bigger, about the strength it took to be the only black student in my MBA program, about every challenge I'd already overcome to stand in this room. Yes, I said firmly, I'm strong enough. The question is whether Min-joon is strong enough to stand with me against his own family. Min-joon stepped beside me, taking my hand. I am. Kim Tae-won studied us for a long moment. Then, impossibly, he smiled. I built this empire from nothing, he said. I started with a small textile factory and a dream. Everyone said I would fail. Everyone said a poor boy from Busan could never compete with the Chaebol. But I did. Do you know why? No one answered. Because I was willing to do what others wouldn't. I was willing to take risks. I was willing to see opportunity where others saw impossibility. He looked at Min-joon. You have your grandmother's eyes. She was a peasant girl when I met her. My family disowned me from marrying her, and she became the finest woman I ever knew. He turned to me. You remind me of her. Proud, strong, unimpressed by money. He paused. Marry my grandson. Give me great-grandchildren who know how to fight for what they believe in. Show this family that the world is bigger than soul, bigger than tradition, bigger than our fear of change. The room erupted again, but this time in shock. Father, you can't be serious. Min-joon's father started. I'm dying, Kim Tae-won said flatly. I don't have time for your prejudice. Min-joon will be chairman after me. He will lead this family, and Sharon will stand beside him. Anyone who cannot accept that can leave now. No one left. but I could feel the resistance, the anger, the resentment radiating from every corner of the room. Min-joon squeezed my hand. Harabiaji, thank you. Don't thank me yet, the old man said. The real work starts now. Proving you can lead together. Proving that love is stronger than tradition. He looked at me. You will be tested every day. Can you handle that? I thought about everything I'd already survived. Everything I'd already overcome. I'm Sharon Wambui from Nakuru, Kenya, I said. I was raised by a woman who taught me that strength isn't about never falling down. It's about standing back up every single time. So yes, sir, I can handle it. He nodded. Then welcome to the family. God help you both. That was 3 days ago. Now, I'm sitting in Min-joon's apartment. Our apartment, he keeps calling it, with a ring on my finger. It's a simple band of gold with a purple sapphire, because he remembered purple is my favorite color. My phone rings. It's my mother. Mama, I say, switching to Swahili. Sharon, my daughter. Tell me everything. So I do. I tell her about Min-joon, about his family, about the battles we've fought and the ones still to come. I tell her I'm engaged to one of the richest men in Korea, and that I'm terrified and ecstatic and so in love. She's quiet for a long time. Then she says, I cleaned houses so you could have choices. You've made your choice. Now you live with it with your head high and your heart open. That man loves you. Yes, Mama. Then that's all that matters. Love him back. Fight for him. Build something beautiful together. And Sharon, yes. Bring him home. I want to meet the man who was brave enough to choose my daughter. I'm crying now. I will, Mama. I promise. Min-joon comes out of the bedroom, sees my tears, and rushes over. What's wrong? Is it my family again? I swear. No. I laugh through my tears. My mother wants to meet you. He grins. When do we leave? You go to Kenya? Just like that. Sharon, I'd go anywhere with you. I'd go to the end of the earth with you. I'd give up everything for you. He kneels in front of me, taking my hands. You are my everything. My obsession, yes, but also my peace. My chaos and my calm. My challenge and my comfort. I can't stop thinking about you. Can't stop wanting you. Can't stop loving you. And I never want to stop. You're sure? I whisper. Because once we do this, once we get married, there's no going back. Your family will never fully accept me. People will talk. It will be hard. Then we'll be hard. He says fiercely. We'll be stronger than their judgment, braver than their prejudice, more committed than their doubts. I don't want easy, Sharon. I want you. I pull him up and kiss him. Then you have me. All of me. Forever. Outside, soul glitters like a promise. Inside, we hold each other like we're the only two people in the world. Because in the end, that's what love is. It's choosing someone again and again, even when the world says you shouldn't. It's fighting for each other, with each other, building something beautiful out of the impossible. I came to Seoul as Sharon Wambui, a girl from Nakuru with dreams bigger than anyone expected. I'm leaving as Sharon Kim, a woman who learned that the greatest adventure isn't achieving your dreams. It's finding someone who wants to dream with you. Min-joon is my dream, and I'm his. And together, we're unstoppable. This is our story. The story of how a rich Korean heir became obsessed with an African woman who refused to be anything less than his equal. The story of how love conquered tradition, how courage defeated prejudice, how two people from completely different worlds built a bridge between them. If you enjoyed this journey, if you believe in love that breaks boundaries and defies expectations, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories about love, courage, and the beautiful chaos of choosing your own path. Because at the end of the day, we all deserve a love story worth fighting for. And this was ours.